2050, it's the new goal for the nation's zero-out carbon emissions. This, as the UN says, the world is careening toward a climate catastrophe. Welcome to Nightside. I'm Ryan Bass.
And I'm Carolina Lee. President Biden and other world leaders came together in Scotland today to make a plan to curb climate change. The president previewed the U.S.'s long-term strategy for achieving this goal, which includes transitioning to clean energy systems like solar and wind power. His Build Back Better infrastructure plan also includes a $500 billion worth of climate provisions.
10 Tampa Bay's Angelina Salcido is here with us in studio. While the nation has a plan of its own to cut emissions, leaders here in Florida are already making moves to cut climate change here in the Sunshine State.
And scientists are actually constantly monitoring this very thing to see how Florida is actually affected. These three things you guys are taking a look at it: rising sea levels, infrastructure, and hurricanes. The main concerns right here in our state. A former National Weather Service meteorologist actually tells me warming is creeping up on us right here, and it's quicker than we think. We need to act right now.
Year after year, it's gotten worse.
Climate change and climate warming is not a theory. It is already measured. We're measuring it every day.
Scientists like Robert Bunting study its impact on Florida. The former National Weather Service meteorologist says the state could be in for a rude awakening.
We should be prepared for what most likely to happen. And unfortunately, we're not prepared for that.
The biggest concern, sea level rise. Bunting says Tampa Bay and its surrounding areas have already swelled 9 inches. His forecast for the area in 2040 shows most coastal areas 3 feet underwater.
In 30 years from now, it's going to be too late for us to really manage sea level rise in this area in any significant way. If we can tone down our carbon footprints and we can reach net zero by 2050, sea level rise in Florida will be more manageable than it will be if we don't.
Flooding and major storms, the other worry, with the number of tropical storms doubling the last 2 hurricane seasons. While the state plans to invest millions to fight climate warming,
It's not even close to being enough.
Bunting says the solution is to cut down on carbon emissions fast, meaning more solar panels, electric cars, and clean energy sources.
The United States is doing a fairly good job. We've already reduced our carbon footprint by 20% since 2005. Most people don't realize that. We need to get out in front of it because what we're good at is reacting to a disaster that's happened and not preventing one that will happen if we don't act.
We know climate change is a topic that you have questions about. Meteorologist Natalie Ferrari is here. The 10 weather team is working hard on a series called Our Changing Climate to help us all better understand where we are in all of this.
All we want to do is help you answer those questions because it took a long time to get here. It's going to take even longer to repair, and that can be something very difficult for us to kind of wrap our minds around. We mentioned those greenhouse gases. That is basically what our cars emit, those airplanes, even factories. This is what basically adds to those gases in the atmosphere and causes that warming. Think of it as a nice thick blanket over the Earth's atmosphere. It's hard to cool down when that blanket just gets thicker and thicker. And that is basically what's being focused on. Those CO2 emissions just keep being added and piled on. If we do nothing at all and continue to move forward until the year 2100, that gets worse as far as that warming is concerned. What's going to become normal just continues to climb over time, whereas if we were to cut that, that could at least slow down that gradual warming. Now, the Climate Central organization, what they have done is they've actually put in a couple climate models here locally, even for Tampa Bay. Those projections showing that, again, if we do nothing at all, we're talking about continued emissions helping to continue to warm things up. Right now, Tampa Bay has been dealing with a 3-degree warming increase since the mid-1960s. If nothing is done and we don't cut those emissions, that will continue to rise. Once you're talking about 6 to even 9 degrees Fahrenheit, that is very much so problematic even for the Bay Area.
That's really why lawmakers and scientists will be meeting in Sarasota on November 19th for the Florida Climate Forecast Conference. Now, they're going to look at things that we can implement to put Tampa Bay in a much better spot, like Natalie was talking about, in the future.